Hey team. So recently, this organization called The Third Way put out a list of words that Democrats should stop using if indeed they want to start winning again. Now, as a DEI consultant and a strategic communications consultant, I don't think of my work as certainly not partisan. Partisan, as in it is neither or should neither be Republican or Democrat or any other party for that matter. But my work certainly is political, not just evidenced by all that's going on now, but the fact is, when we are trying to make sure that our organizations and the world around us, certainly our cities, our communities, our states, our country, is inclusive and responsive to the needs of the broadest group of people. Policies, both within our organizations and political policies, matter, right? It impacts that. So I just wanted to put that out there first. But anyway, this organization called The Third Way issued this list of words that people should stop using. Now, I immediately upon hearing this and then going to read the memo was triggered. One of the words, by the way, that we should not be using according to this organization. Um, I was certainly very aggravated. On the one hand, I felt like that's just giving in, going and eliminating the language that so many people have developed to be more inclusive. It's just giving in and it's not actually winning. On the other hand, I certainly, even myself in my professional space, have been critical of some of the language that we use and how we use it. My guess is within your organizations, you have people who are on both sides of that argument. And if we take a step back, do we have to one or the other this, right? Do we have to, are those the only two options? Are those the only two choices that we have? And being effective and coming up with solutions, right? Can we be solutions oriented and consider both sides of this, even though both sides is something that I cannot stand in this moment. So let's go over just some of those words that they use. Some of the words that they recommend that we eliminate are violence, as in environmental violence, privilege, dialoguing, safe space, centering, cultural appropriation, systems of oppression, existential threat, small d democracy, unhoused, stakeholders, housing or food insecurity. You kind of get my point, right? And this, by the way, is just one list from one organization. I understand that other organizations and leaders are suggesting that we eliminate all kinds of words. Um, and so, what is going on around us is organizations that will come as clients, um, even those that are sticking with DEI ideals, speaking of language, are scrubbing their websites and external communications based on these lists, right? Either they are lists from some sort of internal government agency as a suggestion or lists from um, think tanks. And I think we should slow down. First of all, if you work for an organization or if your organization's work has anything to do with helping others, you likely face some kind of risk anyway because these threats that we are seeing are aimed at the very people and communities you seek to support. We can see that and we can tell that just based on the list themselves. Secondly, if you're backing down, that doesn't actually help the very people you say you want to help. In fact, it leaves them and your organization more vulnerable, not less vulnerable. But that doesn't mean that we don't examine our language. In fact, I would say that we should examine our language, and that has been my position with clients even before this moment, right? Because it is a strategic communication strategy that is necessary for the work that we all do. So, for instance, how do you have a conversation about any positive change in the operation of your organization if you don't say stakeholders or even think about them or talk about your stakeholders? And sometimes your stakeholders, I would say, in fact, if you have shareholders, that is a group that is among your stakeholder group. So I don't even know how we eliminate that word. At the same time, I can't tell you the last time I used the word heuristic or the phrase birthing person or minoritized communities. It's just not language that I typically use. And even when I talk about privilege and say things like Latinx, BIPOC, LGBTQIA plus, right? I don't use those terms without first having offered some sort of definition. Not just definition though, also context, because that's what it means to communicate. There's no point in having a conversation or saying a thing to another person or group of people if that person or group of people doesn't understand what we're saying, right? So often we're having these conversations and we aren't even speaking the same language. What is even the point? Absolutely. Examine your language. Consider your audience. That's strategy. All out elimination of terms and language and phrases. That's capitulating. And when we do that, we put everyone at risk. Hope this was helpful for someone out there. Have a wonderful